Hi, welcome to my channel. If you don't know me, I'm CG Sew, a 15-year-old sewist who's been sewing since she was 11. So far, I've just been posting on Instagram, so you might know me from there, but I've decided to maybe try YouTube for doing tutorials and stuff. And I'm making this because in my last Instagram post, a lot of you are asking for a tutorial of the camera case. If you did not see my video on the camera case, this is it. It's Velcro, and my camera fits in there. There's also a little pouch for like a battery or other things like that. And it's got 2 keychains on the side to attach to belt loops. So, materials. You're gonna need fabric, buttons if you want that to be a part of your design, like this. A camera, obviously. Velcro if that's closure of your choice. Pattern paper because I did make this pattern from scratch. In this video I'm going to show you how to make the pattern. You need keychains, 2 of them, some embroidery supplies if you want that for your design like that. And then basic notions like scissors, a sewing machine. You could also hand sew this, but I just think using a sewing machine is easier. Oh yes, and a ruler. The first step is to measure your camera. So I like to do it length, width, and height. This is the height, the length, and then this is the width, including the camera lens. And I say this because usually with digital cameras, there's an extra battery or a cloth. And so I just want to make a pouch right here for these extra things to fit in, like that. So it would go like that in the camera case. So the length is 4.5 inches. I'm gonna write down 5 inches so there's a little bit of extra space. Don't worry, I will be adding seam allowance later. Width is 2 inches, so I'm gonna add 1/2 inch. And height, let's just say 3. Grab your pattern paper. Make sure to add some extra space as well for seam allowance. So this is the length. And then we're gonna do the height right here. Height. And we're gonna label this one front and back. Okay, so now I'm gonna add a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now we're gonna do the same thing for the side and the top and bottom. So now that you've got the pattern pieces for the exterior and the lining, it's time to do the battery pouch. So you can kind of like Tetris it in there, like look. So it'll fit in there like that. I can just measure like this area right here. About 1.5 inches. So it's gonna kind of like wrap around the battery from this part of the camera to the end of the lens. 1 inch plus 1 inch, 2.5 inches. And then the height doesn't really matter as much, like 2 inches. Yeah, let's do 2 inches. So it'll wrap around like that. And for this little thing, it's gonna be right here. Okay, so now that you've got all the pieces traced out, you can cut it. Now to cut out the pattern pieces. For the outside, I've got this green pant scrap fabric. And then for the lining, I'm gonna be using this gray pant fabric. For the outside, you're gonna need to cut 2 of the side pieces, 2 of the front and back pieces, 2 of the top and bottom pieces. For the lining fabric, 2 side ones, 2 front and back, 3 for the top and bottom, and then 1 for each of the pouches. I also forgot to mention this part. Gonna use this thingy, bring it out like that. Draw your circle. Yes, perfect. And then we're just gonna trace and cut this out on the gray fabric. So I'm gonna prep these pieces by adding fusible fleece. This is totally optional, but if you want it to be thicker like this, then I totally suggest adding it. Now I'm just gonna add all the cute little button designs. I'm also gonna add these 2 little buttons at the top, kind of like this. Okay, so now that I've got this done, we're gonna start on the lining. So we're gonna get front and back piece, and then line up the side pieces like that. And then this is the top and bottom piece, so it's gonna end up like that, but let's just do this for now. Fold them over and sew them right sides together. Okay, now we're gonna grab our top and bottom piece and sew this along here. So it'll be like that. Side note, see how it kind of turns the corner like that? Align this part up with that, and then bring this down, sew it, and then stop where my stitching starts here. We'll do the same thing here, but stitch starting from here and then all the way down. And when you get to the end here, don't go all the way through. Stop kind of a 1/4 inch away. Like that. And then we're gonna take our other front and back piece and sew it along here, but just along here. Don't connect these 2 sides just yet. Now you're gonna grab your 2 pouch pieces and we're gonna hem the top edge and the bottom edge so that there's no raw edges. This is where we're gonna sew the little pouches on. Grab whatever you're making the pouch for and kinda wrap around like that. And so in there, the pouch will kind of sit like this. It'll be sewn onto this wall right here, and then this will be sewn onto this wall here, and then it'll go up like that. We're gonna sew this side in first, about around the middle of it. Make sure it's not like lopsided either. Okay, so now that you've got this here, it'll be sewn into there, kind of like that. This part is a little bit tricky, but make sure it's straight. There we go, like that. And we're gonna do the same thing with this other patch. So now we're just gonna sew these 2 sides shut. Okay, so now that you got that, you can test to see if your camera actually fits in there. Okay, so now you can repeat those exact same steps with the outer shell, but without the battery pouch. Okay, now we're gonna wanna trim the excess seam allowance. We're gonna flip this right side out and see if the lining fits in it. Now you're gonna grab your 4 top pieces. So 3 of the lining and 1 of the exterior. So get your Velcro and you're just gonna cut it out and then stitch it on. If you're using the Velcro that has the sticky back like this, I suggest you don't use the machine and just hand stitch it on because it will jam up your machine. Okay, so you got these two Velcroed. And then bring back your two other top pieces. It's gonna kind of be like this. So like it'll go over top. Sandwich these two together and then just sew along here, leaving an opening right here. Flip it right side out. Same thing with these. Bring back your outer piece and we're gonna baste these two on. It'll go like this, and so we're just gonna clip it there and sew along here. Just gonna keep it secure as we sew the lining to the outer piece. And now for this one, it's gonna fold in. So, like there. Now we're gonna put on little loops on the side so we can attach the keychain to it. And I'm gonna be using this bias tape that I just folded into and sewed alongside. Make sure you don't use ribbon though, because I used ribbon on this one. See, I replaced it, but it used to look like this. Cut two 1.5 inch pieces. Make a little loop and then baste it on both sides of the case. Like that. Stitch it back and forth so it stays secure. And I like to use tape to secure it. And then do the same thing for the other side. Okay, so we're basically on the last step where we just like put it all together. So you're gonna grab your clips, get your outside, and put it inside the lining. Maybe a bit tricky, but just try to fit it all in there. Also make sure the battery pouches are on the same side as the front design. Line up the corners, clip it. And then you just clip the rest of it. Make sure to leave a little space in the back here as an opening for turning. Make sure it's about like 2 inches. Okay, we're gonna sew all the way around. Now all you gotta do is ladder stitch this opening closed. I will be adding a tutorial on my Instagram for that. And then you're finished. Here it is, the finished product. The side's got the camera. So this is what it looks like on. See the keychains attached to belt loops? Yep. And this project was really cool, really fun. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments or DM me on my Instagram. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope it was clear enough. Like and subscribe if you liked this video. Maybe? Anyways, bye!